As far back as I can remember, I've always been a big fan of kart racing games, even if my introduction to kart racing games wasn't exactly the best example out there. There were a lot of racing games out there that would have a lot of inspiration from the Mario Kart games, especially with the mechanic of items being thrown at each other. They do say imitation is the biggest form of flattery, and Mario Kart is one of the most unforgettable kart racing franchises out there. But my problem with a lot of the racing games inspired by Mario Kart is that a lot of them tend to be reskins that don't really do anything different. There are some kart racers that do manage to have their own spin on things, like Crash Team Racing and Pac-Man World Rally. Even Sonic's racing games can have their own twist on the usual Mario Kart formula. But what if I told you there was a fan-made racing game that involved Sonic the Hedgehog and had its own personality? I will be getting to that in a moment, but first, a brief history. In 1998, there was a 3D Sonic fan game made on the Doom Legacy engine called Sonic Robo Blast 2, made by Sonic Team Jr. And yes, there was a prequel called Sonic Robo Blast, but we're not going to talk about that. Sonic Robo Blast 2 combined the Doom engine's 3D environment and 2D PNG entities with the platforming style of Sonic the Hedgehog. It even had a netplay feature that I got to try out while the game was still in its early stages and still had MIDI files for its soundtrack. Many years later, it would receive an update that would include some new levels, updated music, and Fang the Sniper. In fact, I even recorded a playthrough of that updated version of the game with friends a while back.
When you have ultimate power, you don't need to shower!
Hey, that
How
rhymes.
do you know that? I didn't mean for the rhyme!
Like other games that ran on the Doom engine, Sonic Robo Blast 2 is open source, meaning that it was possible for the game's community to make custom levels, custom characters, and even custom game modes. This included game modes like a Persona type of adventure, a WarioWare kind of game mode like the kind that you'd see on some TF2 servers, and my personal favorite, Rollout Knockout. But there would eventually be another mod that would end up becoming its own game. With that being said, it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. Originally, there was a mod known as SRB2 Riders, combining the features of Sonic Robo Blast 2 with the gameplay and levels based on the Sonic Riders series. It also had a feature that included a Mario Kart type of game mode that would end up becoming popular enough to have a lot of custom tracks made for it. Due to its popularity, it would eventually branch off into its own game. Sonic Robo Blast 2 Kart, made by Kart Crew, is a fan game that started off as a mod for a mod with mods. Anyway, this took the Mario Kart game mode from SRB2 Riders, which has since been abandoned, and pretty much gave it as much content as possible. The game came with its own selection of original tracks, as well as tracks based off of games like SRB2, Sonic Mania, Persona 4, and even Super Mario Kart. Not only did it have Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, and Metal Sonic like SRB2 did, but there was another file in the games folder that would add more Sonic characters and characters from other Sega franchises when activated. This included Knights from Knights, Beat from Jet Set Radio, Ai from Super Monkey Ball, and Kazuma Kiryu from Yakuza. By the way, I highly recommend giving the Yakuza games a try. I swear to you, they're more than just that one song you'd see in every deepfake a couple years ago. And just like SRB2, there would be a large modding community providing even more content to the game. Mods like these would allow you to play as characters like Sans, Pepsi Man, Peppino from Pizza Tower, and so many more. In fact, Josh even made his own mod for Pepperman from Pizza Tower, and a mod that was made just for me, whose audio mainly consists of me shouting out of panic from old videos I've done. Interestingly, these can be more than just sprite swaps with custom sound files, as it is also possible to change the stats of the character you made. The game also has Battle Mode that only consisted of the Balloon Battle game mode from Mario Kart, but thanks to the Battle Plus mod, they added more game modes to it, like their own take on Coin Battle from Mario Kart Wii. There's also other gameplay modifying mods like the one that adds horns that play random sound effects, and my personal favorite, the Funny Deaths mod. But enough about the mods, let's get into the gameplay. The gameplay of SRB2 Kart, which going forward I will now be referring to as Sonic Kart for short because SRB2 Kart is quite a mouthful, is pretty similar to your usual kart racing game. You even have items that work similarly to the items in Mario Kart. The sneakers are like the mushrooms, the rocket sneakers are like the golden mushrooms, the banana is like the, well, banana, the Orbinaut is like the green shell, the Jaws missile is like the red shell, Ghost is like the Boo, the growing and shrinking power-ups are like the Mega Mushroom and Lightning respectively, the Eggman monitor is like the fake item box, the Mine is like the Bomb, the Thunder Shield is like the Horn box, and the Self-Propelled Bomb, or SPB, is like the Blue Shell. It also has its own mirror mode known as Encore mode, which activates a Chaos Emerald like in Sonic Mania and changes up the map by mirroring it. Now you're probably thinking, yeah, this racing game and its modding community sound pretty cool, but what makes it stand out from Mario Kart? Well, you'd be surprised to find that the gameplay actually has more of a focus on skill and momentum than Mario Kart does. In fact, you can even evade the SPB up until you reach the finish line if you know what you're doing. The game also has a rare chance of giving you a kitchen sink as an item. Does Mario Kart have a kitchen sink that you can throw at people? Didn't think so. Also, the game is free and doesn't require you to pay $20 a year just to play with friends. Okay, but for real, it's possible to play this game with up to 4 players locally as well as up to 16 players online. You can even join an online game with 4 players on each client. It's pretty simple to host a game with friends as long as you know how to port forward. The game also has Time Attack as a way to race against Ghost on the base tracks. That's pretty much all there is in terms of single player content, but the game has always had more of a focus on multiplayer content, so personally, I'm not too bothered by it. By the time this video is being made, Kart Crew has continued to make updates for this game while working on another version of the game behind the scenes, Sonic Robo Blast 2 Kart version 2.0, which they decided to rebrand to Dr. Robotnik's Ring Racers. Thank goodness, that's so much easier to say. There's not much known about Ring Racers at the moment, other than what is previewed by the videos Kart Crew would upload. From what I can tell, they may be adding Grand Prix to the single-player content, as well as the ability to race against computer players. They've also implemented some new features like rings and the Sonic item bubbles, plus a few mechanics from Sonic Riders like the positioning at the start of the race, and the ability to do tricks in mid-air, making it stand out even more in terms of gameplay. From the few times I've seen previews of Ring Racers, it looks even more fun than Sonic Kart. I have no idea when this game is going to release since Kart Crew hasn't confirmed a release date for it, but I think it makes sense why they wouldn't want to confirm a date just yet. Regardless of the release date not being confirmed, I look forward to when they do release Ring Racers. With that being said, this has been my rambling about a racing game that I highly recommend. If you liked hearing ramblings like this, feel free to leave a like, or a dislike if you ended up disliking it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to load the add-on that adds an outro to the end of this video. Oh, what? Son of a bitch.